What up, my little boo-boo patooties? It's been awesome being able to film for y'all in the afternoon. I've been loving it. These have been the last couple of days I've been off of work. But slowly but surely, I'm trying to shift my habits to getting up early. And of course, the opponent has given me all sorts of wrenches, just as I have, stepped into like some fun opportunities that have like taken extra time and attention. I've also had very time consuming things like my coffee pot dying one morning. Ugh, I know. And then just having to do like a pour over, like through the pot, just like standing there, taking like 35-40 minutes to just like brew a pot of coffee. And I'm like, oh my God, this takes too long. So I went and like bought a coffee pot, and it was like an errand, but I just wanted to have it immediately. I don't know. So it was like a time suck, you know what I mean? But powering through, and some of y'all told me about some cool things that you're starting. So that's very exciting. Super exciting to hear about things developing for everyone. So I'm always thrilled to hear about what you got going on when you let me know in the comments. So that's wonderful. And it also gives other people, hope and inspiration that by following their intuitive guidance, it's a risk, obviously, and it takes a while to develop that skill within yourself. But when you recognize spirit sending you messages through the world through different ways, and then you kind of follow those little pings that you connect with, and then they start building into something. It's like super fun and super exciting. So awesome. Well, let's get into it. So our reading today is sort of our reflective message, where we kind of take into account all the things that we've been learning and experiencing and working with through the week, and we're kind of embodying that and going forward with what we know now. So the first card that came up out of the Radiant Sun Oracle is Jupiter in Gemini, which is Bluff. I love this card. I love this whole deck. These images are so interesting. Followed by Venus in Aquarius, which is Detachment. Followed by Mars in Taurus, which is Defense. Now, underneath Bluff, we have the Two of Pentacles. And isn't it interesting how these repetition of like themes and forms are here? We have the hands underneath the conjurer, like showing the front and the back of the hand, but that's not the point. So we have the hands here, like reaching out to hold or to catch or to somehow influence these spheres here. And so this character here, it's like they're balancing on one foot and they're juggling these spheres that are interlaced with the infinity symbol of giving and sharing for the sake of, receiving for the sake of sharing, right? So you receive and you process, and then you let that be part of like your like embodiment, right? And so it's, bringing in and integrating, right? Bringing in and integrating knowledge and then putting it into practice, right? So there's this energy right now of reciprocal, of putting in energy when you're coming at it from a sense of sharing and excitement. You're like, oh, what can I give to this project that I'm doing to make it better, to make it even more grand, right? Even more value, even more beautiful. And you're doing that from a place of passion, it actually fills you up. Whereas if you go at something wanting a turnaround, wanting your ROI, wanting to know what's in it for you, when is it going to show results, that usually will leave you drained and depleted. So the Two of Pentacles talks about having fun and being in a state of joy while you are task juggling, right? Like you might have many balls up in the air right now. But if you can keep a lighthearted sense of playfulness and the ability to dance and be adaptable and flexible, then that's going to work well for you. It's going to be like you are performing, like you're playing, like you're going to be clowning around. And if you get overworked or overburdened or you lose work-life balance, then you're going to get bogged down and you're not going to have that sense of play. And so then it's going to be harder to maintain, like, it's not going to be sustainable and it's not going to be fruitful in that way. And so like when we manifest things, like our joy and our passion and our desire, like coming from our heart chakra, is the thing that really fuels the manifestation. It's the thing that makes us magnetic. So when we start getting like depleted with something, and something starts tiring us out, and we're not like happy and having fun, and we're not fulfilled, and we're not like feeling grateful anymore, we're feeling like scarce and depleted and just like overwhelmed, then that's why it starts to sort of like dry up. That's exactly why. So having a sense of play and bringing a sense of joy to something. Now, I think this is also balancing the energy and juggling between being like learning on the job kind of thing, like learning as you go, because the bluff card here is not as sinister as it seems. This is someone who's performing a sleight of hand, but like in a positive way. So it's sort of like showing up for something before you feel ready to. And they give the example of like even a surgeon has to like perform their first surgery on a live person, and they feel underqualified and they feel like that sort of imposter syndrome. But in a way, they just have to fake that confidence so that they can embody it and get through the surgery successfully before they feel like absolute grounded, secure confidence in themselves. And so playfully fake it till you make it, and just know that like mistakes are opportunities to actually become even more resourceful and like persistent, and make you stronger than your competition, and actually cut your teeth in a way and fine tune your expertise. And so those are the moments where you get the experiences that provide you with your like prowess, with your wisdom, with your expertise, with your particular unique talent. So don't bemoan those moments, just embrace them and be in the now and have fun with it. And so, yeah, it's like you're kind of like out there, and maybe before you think you're ready, and bluffing is like in the positive way, like faking it until you make it, you know, and being able to juggle, like learning as you go, and you know, even maybe like teaching what you're learning, or sharing what you're learning, or putting it into integration. Yeah, and so up next we have detachment, which is Venus in Aquarius with the King of Cups. Now this is perfect to me because Venus energy is very attached because they are trying to mediate and make everyone happy equally and bring harmony to all sides. And so the downfall of Venus is that, especially Libra, they can overthink and have a hard time making decisive choices. And they can be overly empathic and sympathetic about the choices that they're making. And that might be what leads to a lot of analysis paralysis or losing of the self in order to please others, the people pleasing, the loss of boundary, right? So in order to maintain sustainability, we are going to have to come to a maturity within our Venusness and say, okay, if I'm going to be a greater vessel of sharing, then that means that I have to have conscientious, strong, wise, discerning boundaries. They have to be strong, and they have to be well thought out, and I can do this with passion and from the heart and care a lot, but I don't have to be controlled by my emotions. I can feel and want to do good things, but know that I have to maintain a reasonable distance from the thing, right? In order to maintain emotional detachment from my choices or from how much I am able to share or show up in order to maintain sustainability, right? It's like when a company grows too fast, they can grow beyond their ability to sustain itself. So it's like someone being, this is the King of Cups is like very deep. They feel a lot of deep, but it's like still waters run deep. They don't show a lot on the surface, right? And they're very like devoted and they are sincere, but they're not given to like romantic whimsy very easily. Like they're not like swept off their feet. They're very grounded. They have deep emotion, but they've learned to be able to choose with like consciousness, without the emotional reactivity. They can weigh their emotions and learn from them and observe them and take them into account, but they're not like reactive people. So they're very trustworthy because they aren't reactive. They are level-headed and grounded, even though they're very deep and feeling people. So this is kind of like that same emotional sobriety and having like emotional detachment when it comes to setting strong and healthy boundaries for the sake of the kingdom, right? Think of King Arthur. He had to be practical as well as caring in order to make sure that justice, or there was enough to go around for everyone, or it was sustainable, it was equitable, right? And that means too that you're not like giving yourself to depletion without, having equal and fair exchange. So, we show up and we overgive, but like not to the point of it being toxic and causing bread of shame in someone else, preventing them from their process of earning and of building the vessel for them. Remember, it is some challenge and sacrifice that is required of us to cut the teeth and have the expertise. So it's like we can't do things for others, right? But we can, know how to discern the balance in that. So being able to make wise choices in this new era of your life with a healthy level of detachment and emotional sobriety and having one foot on dry ground. Now, defense is paired with 5 of Pentacles. And so defense is like sort of like this kind of like competitive nature in industry. And so that is coming from a consciousness of fear, lack, and doubt. That's scarcity-minded fear. And so it'll drive us to being depleted, right? 5 of Pentacles is not only sort of like, it's an unsustainable, like the resources are depleting, like it's like a sort of like a weariness, a spiritual poverty, but it can be like even like a literal, like, it's not like it's not profitable to do it this way. So don't go in thinking like, that hustle culture that's like grind it out 46 hours a day. It's like, don't go in with that mentality. Go in full alignment with full focus and passion and fully, aligned and integrated. And that will go so much further than pounding it out through feeling depletion and scarcity. And it's just creating more turbulence and blocks, right? So I wanted to read this card because there were so many good notes in the book, and I don't want you to think it's just me saying this. But yeah, there is, this card to me is like, don't burn out. Like, don't overdo it to the point where this isn't sustainable and you feel worn to a thread, because that's not why you're going for whatever it is you're doing anyway, right? There's probably some part of you that wants to feel more freedom and fulfillment. So we have to keep checking back in with our core values and our core desired feelings. Okay, am I building this in a way that's sustainable to like be in alignment with that, right? Because that's what my core higher self needs in order to really thrive and like fulfill that potential. It's where that's calling me. And so, you've got to check back in. Is this like, am I doing this in a way that's providing me that? Am I setting myself up to give my vision a chance in a way that's sustainable, that can support that vision, right? So don't give up on yourself. This is worth fighting for, but just don't feel like what fighting looks like, or you have to work harder, not smarter. It's like just doing things in the most spiritually efficient way, in the most vibrationally and energetically efficient way, in the most consciously efficient way. in the most physically and systematically efficient ways. It's like finding ways to streamline and to make things work within your life so that you have work-life balance, but so that you have like this kind of energetic, emotional sovereignty as well. So defense, Mars in Taurus, action and material values. 3 mounted warriors, horses reined in, take a defensive stance against attack. The Taurian image on the coin links positive action with material possessions. So like a wise investment per se. 6 swords arranged in a pattern suggest they are there to impress, not to use. So sort of like a military parade or like, you know, a show of like opulence, you know, using your, you know, like some pomp and circumstance, but not necessarily in a threatening way. This is like healthy competition, you know, but maybe a little bit like extra about it. Personal aspects of this card. Much of the energy in the Mars-Taurus nature is devoted to the acquisition of material things. This card describes practical, determined people who will fight for and defend that which they deem important in life. People with this planet sign combination take their time in making choices, but once the decision is made, there's no going back. Nobody is going to take away what belongs to the Mars-Taurian, and if he or she gives things away, credit is required. Despite having a materialistic outlook, Mars-Taurians can be incurable romantics and rarely forget to keep the pleasure-loving part of life alive. That's earlier when I was talking about keeping like the like maintaining the parts of your day that are fulfilling to you as well. Like don't overly do it and burn out. Create a day for yourself that feels like you're thriving, right? Don't set yourself up for slavery, right? Because you're going to feel like this. You're going to feel like another cog in the system, the one that you made for yourself. There's always going to be another matrix, right? Which one do you want to be in? Which one do you want to live in? One that you co-create with divine, or one that the material illusion creates for you? So at the moment you escape one in that material illusion, another one is formed and presented to try to fool you into that illusion as well. So it always takes our maintained effort to stay in that consciousness that is actually with source. Okay, so the Mars-Taurians can be incurable romantics and rarely forget to keep the pleasure-loving part of life alive. They do not like to waste energy and believe that skillful methods and techniques are worth more than brute force. Mars-Taurus types have a great ability to see the potential in the most ordinary things, transforming them with slow but sustained encouragement into objects of worth. For Mars-Taurians, the option of running their own business is attractive. If they do, the chances of success are high, since a competitive streak makes them give of their best when completely responsible for their own finances. Negatively, the placing of Mars can indicate a ruthless and mercenary approach to life in which all actions are guided by financial outcome. So again, like don't become like obsessive and unrelenting with yourself. You got to prioritize the Venetian passion and pleasures and beauty of life as well. Those actually magnify the fruits of your efforts because you're feeling so good that it manifests for you more than you could with your own 2 hands. Which again, back to the 2 hands, right? The 2 hands. When this card is dealt in a reading, it shows a need to defend something the questioner values. So yeah, it's like, or it could be like, not necessarily need to defend it, but it could be like, show up for this thing. Like, don't take no for an answer with yourself. Like, you know, be hyper aware of being disciplined and fight for this thing that you want, kind of thing. Starting up a new business, playing the stock market, a quick business to deal with a profit, a possession that makes a leap in value, beating the competitor. So again, what ends up making for the most powerful strategy and competition is to not approach the market as a competitor, but like, because then you feel like you're being competed with, and that creates more scarcity. So just show up with like absolute excitement and like ways to share and add value, and then that will make you greater and stand out in a way that you can't manufacture. All right. Well, I hope this serves you well, and I will see y'all tomorrow night for our secret sermon. I usually upload it. I'm making it at like midnight on Saturday nights. So I don't know, it usually drops like in the wee hours of the morning. So you might see it Sunday morning. But yeah, in the meantime, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things that really does help these videos get out to other people so they can get these messages as well. And without your participation, they really just get buried in the oblivion. So I can't do this without y'all. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all later. Ciao.